Today's lesson is lesson 73, formulas for sequences. Let's remind ourselves what a sequence is. A sequence is an ordered list of numbers that follow a certain rule. Here I have some sequences for us to examine. See if you can't find the next number in the pattern. We start with 2, 4, 6, 8. Next number would be, counting by twos, the next number would be 10, and after that would be 12. Pretty easy. Let's look at the next one, which is also pretty easy. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 would be the next numbers in those sequences. The next one, however, is not so easy to recognize. 5, 7, 10, 14, 19. As I'm analyzing that sequence, I'm not adding the same number like here. First sequence, I added 2 to each of the previous terms to get the new term. In the second sequence, I added 5 to the previous term to get the next term. In this one, I'm not adding the same number to each one to get the next number. If you're presented with a sequence that you really don't know how to find the next two numbers, and you can't see a pattern in the numbers, then look at the differences between each of the numbers. The difference between 5 and 7 means I'm going to subtract those two to get 2. And then I look at the difference between the next two numbers, which means I'm going to subtract 10 and 7 to get 3. Then I'm going to look at the difference between the next two numbers. Subtracting 10 and 14, I get 4. Looking at the next two numbers, subtracting them, finding their difference, 19 minus 14 gets 5. And now you're able to identify the pattern. 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's the pattern. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. 14 plus 5 is 19. So I'm going to take 19 and add 6 to it to get 25. The next term is found by adding 7 to 25 to get 32. Let's take a look at our last sequence here and notice that it's getting bigger much faster. These first two examples are also getting bigger, but they're getting bigger by a small increment each time. Here I'm starting with 2, jump to 10, then to 50, then to 250. That's quite a difference. So I know that it's getting bigger, and things get bigger either by adding or multiplying. So let's take a look and see if we can't see a pattern for multiplication with these numbers. How does 2 become 10? I multiply it times 5. Well, what happens if I take the next number and multiply it by the same constant number there? 10 times 5 gets 50. Well, I figured out what the pattern is. I then take the next number, multiply it by 5 to see if I get the next number. And again, I do. 50 times 5 is 250. So to find the next number in the sequence, I would take 250 and multiply it by 5 to get 1,250. And that would be the next number in this sequence. Sometimes we're given a formula and asked to find a certain term in the sequence. Let's take a look at something that looks like that. They start us off with a formula. A formula that looks something like this.